Hey, what's up guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Audeze LCD-2C. Now, for those who are audiophiles who know these, or you've just searched the video, you'll know that the LCD-2 line has been around for quite some time. I think it's just under 10 years that the headphones have been out, but the LCD-2C is the classics, the brand new model that I've got right in front of me. Now, before getting into this, I just want to quickly touch upon the price. Now, the headphones can be found for around £600 in the UK. Links will be down in the description below in case you're interested. They're about $700, $800 in the US. Again, I'll try and find links if I can. Or planar magnetic headphones. In a nutshell, that is a different type of driver technology that's found within them. And what that means is that you get what they hope to do is get a better sound over normal dynamic drivers. Now, just as a reference for my setup, I have my PC connected via optical and it goes to my Denon receiver. I think it's the AVR X500. It's not a amazing amplifier receiver by any stretch of the imagination. And in terms of my reference, I've heard about 100 to 150 different earphones and headphones, ranging from something like the Fostex TH900s or the HD800s from Sennheiser, all the way down to £10, £15 budget earphones. Now, my daily drivers that I use actually on a daily basis are custom modded Denon D2000s, which are highly praised in the audiophile community. These are custom modded because they've got D5000 dampened caps, Lawton audio pads, and D7000 cable. Now, before I go into the sound quality, I want to talk about the design and why Audeze have come out with a slight revision. Now, first thing you might notice is that there's no beautiful wooden finish. Now, for me, I actually really love wooden finish. It's actually one of the main reasons not because of the audio, mainly because of the looks, that I chose to have D5000 cups on my D2000s. I really like the wooden finish. Instead, Audeze have decided to have an all-metal construction, which actually blends in really well. It's an all-black design. Now, that means it's not going to really attract attention to your headphones, but that said, is this something you want or you don't want? That's purely subjective. Now, the headband has got a breathable design. There's got holes all over it. That means that it breathes really well. And what they've done is they've got the kind of suspender design as well, which means that the headphones supposedly try and take as much weight off as they can. Now, the headphones are very heavy. Now, that's one thing I noticed as soon as I picked them up. They're extremely heavy. Versus my Denons, they're probably 2 to 3 times the weight, which means that when it comes to long periods of listening or, let's say, gaming or whatever you want to do with your headphones, then you will find that over time it might be bearing down on your head. Now, the suspender design is supposed to remove that kind of weight or sort of spread the load over the top of your head. But in my opinion, it's still very heavy. Just from simply picking it up to putting it on my head versus my Denons, it's a night and day difference. Now, the headphones have got a removable cable. It's a left and right. It's a mini XLR 4-pin connector. It's very nice. It's indicated with a blue and red color to indicate it, and it's got a twisted braided cable, which is terminated by it's 1.9 meter long and terminated by a 6.3 millimeter or quarter-inch jack. There's no 3.5mm jack, which is, to be honest, pretty obvious given the fact that these headphones are going to be most probably plugged into an amplifier or a receiver of sorts. I'll get into that in just a bit. Now, the jack itself is absolutely massive. I have no problems with longevity of this, and it's gold plated as well, which is always a plus, but not to be too surprised at this price range. Now, the headphones adjustment, I didn't really like that much, but it's pretty stiff. It's pretty much like the old Audeze line. They're very stiff to kind of wiggle in and out. You just basically twist them and they kind of adjust. I don't think they have that much of an adjustment room. It's pretty small, so if you've got a very large head or a very small head, I think you'll struggle to have a perfect fit on them. Thankfully, I've got a medium-sized head, at least I think I do, with massive ears, so I don't really have a problem with them. So in terms of design, I have no real complaints other than the fact that I really miss the wood. In terms of build quality, absolutely fantastic. Removable cables are a definite plus, especially because you can replace them with your own custom cables if you so wish, or cables from another headphone. In terms of the comfort, as I said, it just depends on you, but I do feel that these headphones are quite heavy. In terms of clamp, I've got no problem with that. They didn't have an overly strong clamp, so I didn't have to worry about that. Finally, and of course, the most important thing of the comfort is the pads. Now the pads have a memory foam pad, which means they kind of just sit like cushions on around your ears. They feel brilliant, and given their massive driver size and the massive diaphragm that's inside, your ears really fit around the ear pad. So I didn't have any problems with that. They do definitely fit over the ear, even with my massive ears. So no problems there. So now the most important part, the sound quality. What do I think about them? So now, in terms of the overall sound presentation, I should start off by saying that these are open back headphones. If it wasn't obvious by the pictures or by what I'm holding up over here versus what I've got over here, then it's pretty obvious that they are open back. Now the open back nature means that you won't get great isolation, but does that matter because they're going to be used for home use? You're not going to be walking around like this in the street. Well, if you do, I'm not going to be a judge, but anyway, you're not going to be walking around like that. So they're obviously made for home. Just bear in mind that if I don't know, you're sitting next to your partner, or you've got screaming kids in the house or whatever, these are not going to isolate well. So bear that in mind. The open back nature, however, does mean that they have a great amount of breathing room. The drivers have a fantastic soundstage, meaning sounds come from left and right. You've got a nice sort of instrument separation as well. The width and the depth that these headphones can bring it's up there with some of the best open back headphones I've heard. Now, I wouldn't say they're as crystal clear and as expansive as something like the Sennheiser HD-800, which to me are still one of the best headphones in terms of that, for instrument separation and just overall soundstage presentation. But those headphones are almost, maybe a bit more, double the price of these ones. So it's to be expected. Now, these headphones, in terms of the soundstage, I must say very impressive. I had no problems with that. Good job, Audeze, but it's to be expected from open back headphones, especially those that are made by Audeze, because they're well known for making these very nice open back headphones. Although the EL8, that's a whole different issue. I'm not going to get into that in this video. Now, moving on to the individual sound frequency. Let's start off with the bass. Now, one thing I've always loved about the Audeze headphones are the low-end bass that they've got. The reason I say this is because most open back headphones, like the Sennheiser HD-800 is a perfect example, they have the bass quality, but they don't really have the bass quantity. Now, I don't expect a massive boomy bass that's overpowering or anything like that. I just want music and like explosion in games to come out as they would intend, not to be ultra flat, but to have that sort of like punch to them. And in this case, the LCD-2C has that punch. It has that mid-bass punch that you'd expect, and it's very much like this closed-back Denons. They have that mid-bass punch. However, the decay isn't there, and that's pretty much obvious because there's no sort of housing for that. So you don't have a nice decay, but the tonality is very accurate, and the imaging is fantastic as well. If anything, it could be a little bit more revealing and resolving, if that makes sense, in certain songs and certain scenarios. But overall, I can't be have too much complaints, that because I have the HD-800s in my mind as open back headphones, as one of the best headphones for open back, and then closed back I've got like the Fostex TH900s and my own Denons, which argue I've got like a soft spot for them. So in terms of the mid-bass, I must say they've got a good slam, a good accuracy, but what's most important, they've got fantastic quality. The quality is there, it's very very controlled, very tight, very lean, whatever metaphor you use, it does sound fantastic. Now the sub-bass does extend, however I did feel that in certain scenarios the sub-bass would cut off. Listen to R&B music or drum and bass music, I noticed that I preferred listening to music that had a lot of bass with my Denons on versus the LCD-2Cs. It's not to say the 2Cs are bad, far from it, but I just felt there's a slight drop off at the very low end. Moving on to the mid-range, I found that the mid-range was very good, however it isn't quite perfect. The lower mid-range and just the general was pretty flat sounding and relatively revealing, but the upper mids felt that they had like a slight dip in them, a slight weird kind of tone that I couldn't quite explain. They're leagues above my Denons, but in comparison to something like the HD-800s or even the HD-700s, which are a lower class of them, or even like the Shores, I felt that these had a slight weird dip in the upper mids. It's not to be overly concerned about, it's just that it is just noticeable if you're listening for a flat, forward sounding mid-range, centric headphone. Hopefully that makes sense. In terms of the overall treble energy, it was great, although it's a slightly slow headphone, so therefore you do have a slightly slower treble, if that makes sense, versus other headphones which are a bit more speedy, like my Denons. You will notice the difference, but that means that you got more time to listen to the sound. Now that could be due to the massive pads that the headphones have, or it could just be due to the way that the planar magnetic technology actually works within these headphones. In terms of the highs, they do extend very well. You've got fantastic sparkle at the top end, crystal clear cymbals as well. But just the only thing I would say, again, just very much like the sub-bass tones, what I noticed is there's a very slight roll-off at the top end. Again, the Denons have a roll-off as well at the top end, but both of them sound exciting. So it's not a take away from it, and it's not sibilant in any way, which is another positive sign for these headphones. It's just something to bear in mind. So again, comparing to HD800s, which I know it's above its league and it's something in completely different technology, but those headphones have a much more revealing sound, whereas these didn't sound as revealing or didn't sound as some would say accurate sounding, but that's not the case. They are very much accurate, it's just that they might not sound as complete as some other headphones out there. So that's pretty much it in terms of my overall sound impressions, and I must say, as an overall package, and I know these are pretty expensive, at least in the UK, you know, £600 for some set of headphones is quite expensive, but you're getting a lot of money for £600. In comparison to some of the headphones that I mentioned, adding another £200 and getting planar magnetic headphones is a good idea, at least in my opinion, but is it something that would I use? Now, I really tried to think about this before I said this in the video, but in all honesty, what takes it away from me is its weight. Now, I know some people will be like, oh come on, get over it, it's not a big deal. I use my headphones on a daily basis, and every single day I'm pretty much using them for 2 to 3 hours. I know I game a lot. And when I wore these, and for gaming, they were fantastic. Playing first-person shooters, looking around you and finding where the guns shots are coming from. Fantastic. But I didn't have that comfort. Now I know you might be saying, this is a headphone review, not a comfort or something like that. It's just something you have to bear in mind. These headphones are made for being used at home and used for many hours. And in all honesty, if I had to choose between these headphones, which sonically are leagues above my Denons, at least in pretty much every department, apart from probably the decay or the sub-bass response, I would probably pick up the Denons. And that's not because I've been using the Denons for several years, that's because of their comfort, and it means that I could wear them for hours without having to worry about a heavy load on my head. That sounds dirty. But anyway, all I'm trying to say is that apart from its audio quality, which is superb at its price point, there is certain things that kind of draw me away. Which leads me on to my conclusion, and pretty much what I'm conveying in this video is that, yes, I would recommend them. Yes, they sound fantastic. Yes, Audeze has cut some costs with the headphones of the classics over the regular LCD-2s by removing the wooden cups, by removing the included travel case, and removing certain technology that came up with the original LCD-2s. But there are pros and cons to everything, and the cons to these headphones are the fact they're a bit too heavy, they need to be driven, and the sub-bass I would expect just that little bit extra from them, and their highs as well, just that little bit of extra refinement. So I would recommend them, but as long as you've got the right amplifier and DAC or receiver to drive them, or you know that you're not going to be using them for 3 hours plus in a session, and that you're going to be, you realize that these headphones are very heavy versus pretty much any other headphone that you would have heard, unless you've heard to electrostatic headphones or other planar magnetic headphones like this or the original LCD-2s, where you know the weight. So there we go, guys. I've been totally dubbed. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. I've been as honest and as independent, unbiased as possible. When I say as possible, that's because I'm not paid. I don't get any money from YouTube. I just do these for fun. As you can see, I'm a bit of a audiophile. I love audio tech, and I've heard so many different audio stuff. I like trying out new things when I can, and the LCD-2Cs, I was very much fortunate enough in order to get them, so thank you Audeze for sending them for a trial review. So there we go, guys. I've been Totally Dubbed. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts, if you have these, if you're thinking about buying them, or whatever it might be. And then, if you can favourite and subscribe, you'd be a hero. And if you're already subscribed, then you're already a hero. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Take care and bye bye.